And then I welcome everybody to our session here with Annie and Debbie, and I will pass the microphone over to Debbie at this stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very excited to have a presentation from Annie Baudouin from the Petawawa Military Family Resource Center. Petawawa has an amazing program that connects with children in schools in relationship to their CAF member being absent due to deployment. It's been a long-running program, gone through a few evolutions, and so we're very pleased to have Annie coming to present on that subject to us. So I will turn it over to Annie Baudouin.
Thanks, Debbie. Welcome, everyone. So like they said, I'm Annie Baudouin. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist at the Petawawa MFRC. I've been working for a little bit over 14 years around here, and deployment was always a piece at some point, a big piece, at another point, a small piece of my workload. But this program has a lot of great learning opportunities, like connection with schools, but also how to switch and manage and update your programming depending of the season or what the families are needed. So next slide, please. So a little bit of the background from this program. It used to be called Children's Deployment Support Program, so CDSP, because we like all our acronyms around here. It was introduced when like the Afghanistan time. And at that time, because everybody was going at the same place and a lot of people at the same time, the focus of the program was really pre, during, and post deployment. So when we would see the kids, it would be every 2 weeks, and we would register them like right before the deployment, and all of our teaching and resource giving and things like that were focused on the season they were in. So that's how it was set up in all of the schools around Petawawa / Pembroke. We don't have as many in Pembroke because it's a peer support program. So the information we share, it's great, but the big component is also finding your people. Oh, I didn't know you're a military family and things like that, kind of the thing. So that's I'm gonna say it's almost like 20 years ago when this was created. Next slide, please. So why did we decide to do that at that time? The program is all about behavior, anxiety, all of the emotions. There's a lot of focus on emotions because of that. Like often children keep everything bubbled up inside. And we were looking for like a venue for children to be able to meet their own, but also share all of these and like in a healthy way. How can we manage all of these emotions? A lot of people from the school at that time anyways, they were not necessarily connected to military families. So they had no idea how to deal with those children with like bursts of emotions all of a sudden when, 2 months ago, they were perfectly fine. So this is why we're doing it. So normalize the emotions that children are going through. Like there's so many, could be super exciting when it's reintegration time or anything like that, but it's the bubbly up inside that they didn't know what to do with that we're trying to give them an outlet for, kind of thing. The program was set up in 2 pieces, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but because they were not a big understanding on military families, what they're going through and all of these things, that mostly at that time, Afghanistan, when it came, it was kind of like almost a big shock because for so long before there was like peacekeeping operations and things like that, but a big deployment in a war zone, that was new, and everybody was like, I don't know what to do with this. So like a part of the program was also for the educators in the schools to kind of like help them and teach them principles, all of these things, so they were better equipped to support those children. Next slide, please. So this is what it is, like two different outcomes that we're looking for. The first one was the children support. So like I said here, like the first step was to connect with the school. So how we going to do that? Like we know it's a big need. How do we why do we want to go into schools, first of all, instead of doing the program here? Mainly it's because we know that deployed families, it's just another thing on their to-do list for the parent that stays behind. Yes, they want the best for their children, but when you're like running crazy after work, getting the kids ready for hockey, like all of these things, it was kind of like too much to for families to be adding another thing on their plate. So what we were hoping to do at that point is like, if we go where the kids are during a time where they're all together, first of all, but also the parents don't have to drive them back and forth anywhere, maybe we could have a better success at it. So what we did is that we went to the school board. So instead of going directly to all of the schools, there's 4 school board here in Petawawa, Pembroke area. So the English one has 2, the Catholic and the public, and then French the same. So that's where we went first. And then when we got the buy-in from them, then we were able to they would do the work for us, kind of thing. They trickle down on their principals list, and then we make contact with the school. So basically that's what it is. We want to make sure that we were supported at that level, and then it's easier to go to one school and say, well, you know, so and so, which is your, you know, superintendent or whatever, said that's a great idea. Open the door for us in a nice way, obviously. And the school support is that we developed some presentation with tools and resources and things like that. So we were often invited in like PA days meetings, staff meetings and things like that. So we could have like a 10-15 minutes presentation on who we are, first of all. That was a big one 20 years ago. But also what can we do to support your military children in your schools and in your classrooms especially, and then different age group at different like little resources at that time. Next slide, please. Okay, so we got the approval. We're going to the schools. So what are we going to do now is the hard part, which like find a room in a school to offer the programs. It's the challenge. We understand that in schools, space is premium. Like it's very difficult, and you're competing with other professionals. Everybody should have a place. It's just like this, when the schools are growing, it's a little bit more difficult. But at that step, we were like physically going into schools, introducing ourselves, explaining what the program was, why we want to do this. I'm going to say like every school were absolutely, we had Francophone staff to go in the French school here as well. And everybody like really welcomed us pretty open arms because it was so new that, you know, they really didn't know what to do. And then I think we were kind of like seen as like, oh, the professional that's going to come and help us. But I think the distinction between we're not doing one-on-one clinical work here. We're not clinical social workers or therapists. This is more on the prevention side of the house, helping the kids to talk about things. But that's where that there's a fine line around that, but that's a hard line not to pass. And these were the most difficult things to explain, because I think they just thought we were coming and do like clinical group and, you know, solve all problems, miracle works. But we did have great success though with every year with children. Next slide, please. In 2018, when Afghanistan was pretty much over and everything was changing, we noticed here in Petawawa that groups were in different places and not at the same time. So it wasn't like a big chunk leaving, big chunk coming back. There was like, oh, one's leaving now, the other one's leaving 3 months later. So the actual setup or format that we were using wasn't really working anymore. So, you know, at the beginning of the school year, like we would start with pre-deployment, but then it didn't make sense because some people were coming back, they were gone, like at the end of the last school year, did all summer and coming back. So we looked at the program again. I'm like, okay, I think we need to change this. So that's when we ditched the pre and post and during deployment format. And then we reevaluated the way we would present that. So at this point, we were there every 2 weeks, like twice a month, I would say. And then we changed the curriculum to say, let's say like October week, like first session, October second session. And then all of the programmers at that time that were going, I think I had 5 programmers going in every schools. What they would do is like, it didn't matter, because we noticed that too, is like sometimes like siblings are not even in the same school. And then we needed a little more consistencies between all of the schools and like the whole curriculum. So by doing it that way, it didn't matter if the programmer in October would go the first week or the second week for the session. It would be the same as the other schools that they were going in October. So if a brother and sister were not in the same class, in the same school even, they would get the same information in October for the first session, if that makes sense. So that's when we changed the things a little bit, because deployment were not what it was when we started CDSP. At that time, we're still calling it CDSP. Next slide. And then COVID happened. We all say around here BC and AC, before COVID and after COVID. So during the COVID break, a lot of things happened, obviously. And one of the main one that happened was MFS modernization of programming. And here in Petawawa, the team that was programmers offering like a lot of programs and workshop and all of these big events and things like that, was kind of like changed into the navigator's role, which the actual workload was completely different. So obviously we had to stop. Like we were not in school for like 2-3 years for sure, like because of COVID. And then we just said like, well, I think we're just gonna let it go. We don't have the manpower here to do exactly what we were doing before. Nice clean break. We're just gonna let it go. Ran its course. We understand is great. And then I'm like, okay, that's what we're gonna do. However, when everybody went back to normal enough, I think it was like the third year after the closing for COVID. Parents and teachers and principals, they were like calling me and like, where is this? Like, when are you coming back? Like high readiness is just around the corner. We had a high readiness season during COVID, which everybody understood why we weren't doing anything in the schools. But they were like, okay, but we're back now, and then it's coming again, and where are you? So we are listening. Obviously, we want families and community partners feedback at all times. So we had to sit on that one and then go back to the drawing board a little bit, because I didn't have the manpower to be able to send a navigator every 2 weeks in all of the schools around here. Just Petawawa, Petawawa and the 2 French schools that are in Pembroke, it's 7 schools. And that doesn't count like Deep River, and like we have like Renfrew County is pretty big, where the PMFRC like oversee. Like, okay, I can't do that, but can I do something? Next slide. So here it is, name change, because we wanted to make sure that families and schools understood that yes, we're bringing something, but it's going to be a little bit different. Obviously, a lot of people were, you come to Petawawa, you're posted for a few years and you go back, and then we had a lot of new families. So those ones were a little bit easier, but the ones that were reaching out and looking for the exact same thing, we had to make it a little bit clearer as much as possible that it would be different. So two parts again on the children's support part. So we changed the name for Kids Deployment Support Group, also to match MFS Penelope better, because it is a support group. So we wanted to make sure that that was clear. So basically, that's what it is. We looked at it. What we decided to do is that instead of going every month, twice a month, we're going to go to the schools every second month. So the sessions are a little bit longer. So we're there longer with the group, which is kind of nice, because it was kind of quick, fast, because you had a lot of groups to go through in that school for that day and then another school for the other day. And now it's like snowing and then close the group. You have to find another day. So shorting the amount of times we're going to be there, but a little bit longer each time, so you can create a little bit more of a connection with the children, especially. And then the school support, then it's kind of like the navigators, what they're doing. We always have here like a duty navigator, 8 to 4. They can walk in, they can call, they can email. There's always somebody there, and that's what we present to the school. If you have anything that you're looking for in particular, where we like the one-on-one and tailoring the resource and the information that you need for exactly your family or your classroom or something like that. So that's how we're doing it. If the schools are needing something in particular, they go through our navigators here now, and then they get like support on that side, instead of us trying to chase every PA day meeting and things like that. Next slide, please. So the way we're doing it now is that, and it's kind of like changing. We changed a little bit last year again, but we're not going through the school board anymore. The relationship, because it's been so long, except for the little COVID piece that we talked about, we're there every year. So teachers now, they know, they expect us even. Principal is the same. So now I have direct line contact with the principals at the beginning of the year. That's what I do. I send the school letters explaining the program again. And then we create a parents letter. So we give that to the parents, basically the schools, and then they distribute to, it's a little bit complicated because nobody has the stat of how many military children in school. Nobody's kind of like data. So we just bring enough for everyone, and then they go in the class and say who's a military child, basically, or they decide to just distribute to everyone. If it applies, it applies. We don't take children unless we have like clear registration permission from the parents. And then we create our little groups. We also, the registration is done via our website now. So on the parents letter, there's a QR code. They can just click it there, and then we try to give like at least 2 ways of registering, because not everybody's comfortable with one or the other. So there's multiple ways to connect with us or to register the programs and things like that. Now that it's changed a little bit more, we used to do grade JK to grade 8, but a few years back there were some changes, and grade 7 and 8 were moved to the high schools. So, but not all of the schools. So to be fair and consistent, right now we do JK to grade 6, because we know that those elementary schools, that we're going to get all of those. Some schools are grade JK to 12, so that's easier, but some of them, they were completely separated in another school. So we wanted to make sure everybody was like the same. Just checking the time. So basically that's what we're doing. We are, again, Petawawa is in a rotation for every 2 years for high readiness. So we're either training for it or in the middle of deployment. What we decided to do in 24-25 is that instead of limiting, because it's so fast-paced here, instead of limiting the registration for children deployed that school year, every military children now are more than welcome to participate in the program. We realize that the tools and the resources that we're teaching them are amazing for any type of transition, like could be a new postings, could be so many different things. And sometimes when you're not in the high stress situation, you're a little bit more, it's easier to understand, and like you're calmer, so you're not living all of those crazy emotions. So you understand and you take a little bit more of the information that we're sharing, and then you'll be even more ready for when the deployment happens. So that's what we decided to do. We that to everyone. We are limited now just Petawawa schools, like I said earlier, and then the 2 French schools in the tower. If families are, they are participational groups, we have little kits of everything that we're teaching. The only difference is that they're not going to get peer support, but all of the resource information and everyone will get it. The parents has to do it with them. What we also do is we have it's called Parents Deployment Support Guide. We email that after each session, so it's like even more resources. Because I condensed so much in 4 sessions, I had extra material that I still wanted to give to the families. So that's how we created that. I created like little guides. They are sent with extra activities to do and things like that to the parents. And then a letter explaining, we saw your child today, and this is what we talked about. These groups are confidential, so we're not sharing anything with the parents that is shared during the group. And then that's great. And then the last change from this year is that the teachers were saying, like, we also would like to know the language you're talking about. Like, we would like to have those type of resources and knowing what was discussed and things like that. So again, no actually sharing of what the kids are doing, but I created a letter and a guide for teachers. So the guide for teachers and the parents are very different. It's really like I research a lot of things about how they can be more inclusive for the children in their classroom. I don't call it like that. I don't want to, insult anybody saying that they were not doing that. So it's done in a way that is just, hey, if you can maybe think about this way, or so I have like 4 different guides for the teachers that they can implement or not in their classroom, but they also get the letter from our navigators that are going, explaining exactly the topics and the resources that we looked into for that week. So I know I'm looking at the time. I know we're limited in time. So Debbie, am I still good?
Yeah, you're good. You got 4 more minutes. So
okay, perfect. So so far this year we went twice, so October, and we're in the middle of it this week. We had to cancel. The buses were canceled today and yesterday, so we're pretty that's why now when we go to the schools, we always ask for a second date, premium spaces again. So at the beginning of the year, we book all the dates, and then a second day in case of sickness, weather, things like that. There's only one school that we have issues with every year. I'm not going to name anybody, but most of the time, most of them, they're very happy to have us go around there and support those children. What I like about this relationship also is that if there's something that the teachers knows us so well now that it's easy for them to just give our contact information to the parents, and then we can take it on. At the beginning, like maybe like 10 years ago, we had a lot of, I think the teachers wanted to take it on so much on their shoulders, and they were overwhelmed. They didn't know what to do. And then they wanted us to come and do the whole class. We did some like profile going in the classroom and added to the CDSP program. Now we're trying to do it on the other way. Like we have resources that we can share with the school. So here we share the FS working with military children. Like it's a package at the beginning of the year that we always share with the principals and the schools or teachers. Like some schools you talk to the principal, some is the secretary, some is the counselor. Like it's never the same. But we always match whatever the school prefers. But yeah, over the years, because like MFS gave us great resources and then we developed our own, we have nice little package now that we can share, and they feel like, okay, I have something that I can go back to, read on and things like that. So it's more like everything is not actually working on what's the next step. Then we can step in as navigators for that family specifically. So that's in a nutshell, pretty fast, the history of our deployment program in the school. We're not changing any names or anything anymore, and we're not changing the name, meaning like I know it's all the children, but it's always related to deployment. That's the root of it, even if the children that are coming in now are not necessarily deployed at the moment. So that's basically what's happening now. Yeah. Thank you. I should have changed the slide.
okay,
Sorry.
that's all right. That's all right. In the interest of time, it is 12:29, and we do want to respect everybody's time because the webinar is from 12 to 12:30. I think Annie is available to answer any questions because we did fill up the entire presentation time with the presentation. So thank you very much, Annie. We very much appreciate you presenting the information. And if anybody does have any questions and they're able to stay, please feel free to open up your mic, open up your camera. I can't see the chat, so if somebody else can to take a look at the chat and see if we can put some questions in there, that'd be great. I'm just going to stop sharing the presentation because that should open up the chat for me. So does anybody have any questions for Annie about the program?
There's no questions so far, but you're welcome, Marnie. Marnie said, thank you. I love that you shared how your team adjusted the delivery through all the years. And I think that's why this program for me, it's really a success because of that, because of the way we adapt it all the time. You know, it's not set in stone, and you know, we evolve, our families evolved, the way deployments are always changing. So that's why it's always good to, you know, adapt as you can to what the families are requesting. But yeah. And
So
Sandra wants you to fill out the
I can see the
evaluation.
chat now. Yeah, there is
Okay.
an evaluation in the chat. So if you could take the time, please, to fill out the post-session evaluation, that would be great. It's wonderful for us to have feedback for future presentations to make sure that we're doing our best job. So I just want to say thank you very much to Annie. If there are no more questions, thank you very much to Annie. And just, I'm not sure if everybody on this call is aware, but Annie has been with Military Family Support for a very long time, and she is retiring at the end of December. So I'm very grateful that we had an opportunity for her to come and present on this program. I know that this program has been a passion project for her since the very beginning, and we're sure she's leaving in good hands. So thank you, everybody, for attending, and thank you, Annie, for all the work you've done over the years with deployment.
If anybody has questions, if they want to email me, like, yeah, you have another week or so. Thank you.